Now, of course, it's a surprise to me as well that I've never actually reviewed Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. And of course, the original, the Eau de Toilette, came out in 2010. I believe the Eau de Parfum came out 4 years later in 2014. And my favorite of the bunch historically has been the Parfum. The Parfum, I get a lot more incense. It's a lot richer and denser as far as those ingredients in the dry down are concerned. But this is the middle ground fragrance. And for a lot of people, this actually happens to be their favorite. And I would like to take a closer look at why. First of all, I do want to apologize that my setting here is a bit different from the norm. I happen to be in Los Angeles today. I am filming this from my hotel room. I always come prepared with my lighting and my microphone and everything because I want to bring you the content. And this is one of the fragrances with which I happen to be traveling. Now, of course, this is such a great, fresh, lemony, minty, ginger, aromatic, citrusy fragrance. There's a lot of grapefruit, and there's also incense in the dry down. Now, one thing that I've always said on my channel is that the original, the Eau de Toilette, is very diffusive. So that is a fragrance where if you're thinking about what the longevity of it is going to be like, it's not going to top the Parfum version. However, with the Eau de Toilette, you can expect in the vein of 7 to 8 hours, depending on your skin chemistry. With the Parfum version, I am getting upwards of 8 hours, just keeping in mind, or 8 to 10, I should say, keeping in mind that it's not going to be super duper loud, right? It's going to be a bit more consistent as far as how it lasts, but the Eau de Toilette is going to be a bit louder. It's going to project a little bit better, especially upon initial application. So the thing with the Eau de Parfum, which is right in the middle, this is the fragrance that, in my humble opinion, is a nice balance of the two. There's enough of a shift as far as the smell is concerned, where you can actually get a little bit of that density of the Parfum with the diffusiveness of the Eau de Toilette. Now, what are you going to get as far as the notes go? Well, it does open up with the grapefruit and the lemon. There's a bunch of mint in here as well. So it is a very bright and fulfilling fragrance. You're not going to get a whole lot of mint. I'm going to be honest with you. You're not going to get so much that it opens up your nasal passages or that it smells overly mentholated or anything like that. But you are going to get that bright, tangy, zesty grapefruit in the opening that I think really makes this fragrance. It's such a great sparkling opening, and the incense in the dry down is really, really nice as well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There are some woods in the note breakdown. You're going to get a combination of different things, but it's really mostly the frankincense / olibanum that I get from this one. Not as strong as the Parfum version, but I do get it in this as well. And frankincense, to me at least, has always had a lemony pine smell. And that's exactly what I'm getting from the Eau de Parfum as well. So I am getting that lemony pine aroma, and I feel like the lemony nuance from the frankincense combines very well, I would say very harmoniously, with the actual lemon that is used in the opening of the fragrance. And then that pine characteristic, that earthy green characteristic, just adds a touch of masculinity to the blend that I think is very well done as well. Now, this is a very, traditionally speaking, masculine-leaning fragrance. Now, I know there's a lot of women out there who like to wear fragrances that are marketed for the gentleman and vice versa. And of course, we are kind of in a day and age where the belief is that, or the new assumption is that everything is unisex on the market. And I am certainly a proponent of people wearing what they want to wear. I'm a proponent of people wearing what they feel comfortable wearing and what makes them confident in their own skin. I do think at the end of the day, though, this has been around for such a long time. We're talking about, with regard to the original 15 years, that when you smell it, it is going to evoke a gentleman from 15 years ago. And of course, there is still so much popularity surrounding this line. And, that's the case with a lot of mass marketed designer fragrances on the market nowadays. If you take a look at Dior Sauvage, right? That's been around for a long time as well, but it's still the best selling fragrance in department stores, right? This is number 2. So Bleu de Chanel is number 2. This is selling like hotcakes. People are still a big, big fan of this one. And one of the reasons why I wear it as often as I do, and as you can tell, I'm even traveling with it, is because it never fails with regard to compliments. If you're just looking for something very fresh, inviting, something that is going to maybe, encourage those around you to tell you that you smell good, that, they think you smell like you're very well put together, very well groomed. I think this is the kind of fragrance that would satisfy that. And I've always been a fan of this fragrance. The versatility is through the roof. So this is a fragrance where you can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can wear it in the hotter weather because of the diffusiveness and that touch of citrus that is in here. But then you can also wear it in the colder weather because that incensey and woodsy quality in the dry down, I think, also prevails. However, my personal preference would be wearing the Parfum version in the wintertime. It's quite warm here in Los Angeles, so I believe today it's in the 80s. And surprisingly, back home in New Jersey, yesterday's temperature, from what I checked, was 101 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is the time of the year where I would say opt for the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum. The Parfum, I think, characteristically does a lot better in the colder weather, but at the end of the day, it's all a matter of personal preference. So this is a classic fragrance, and I am so glad that I eventually picked up a bottle of it. I have purchased 2 bottles of the Parfum. I have purchased, if I'm remembering correctly, several bottles of the Eau de Toilette as well, although I still have the original bottle that I purchased well over a decade ago. And that's what a lot of people nowadays call the original formulation, which I totally understand. It's one of those fragrances where, as the years go on, people start to complain about longevity. People complain that it doesn't smell the same, so on and so forth. And we know that's the case with a lot of brands. I can't pinpoint or identify exactly which ones or which fragrances, although I have my assumptions and my speculations, but a lot of brands seem to be cutting corners and reformulating their fragrances, even if it means saving a few pennies per bottle, because when you take a look at the larger figure, it adds up and, they save a lot of money. But this is one where I, acquired this bottle, as a matter of fact, this year, and it still smells the same. And so I just hope the folks at Chanel are not messing with this, and that the Polges and, I know when it comes to a lot of these big name designer brands, we have other perfumers coming in. And of course, we've had, Olivier Polge and Jacques Polge work their magic with the Chanel brand, but this is phenomenal. I love the Eau de Parfum. My preference is still the Parfum version. I think that's the one where, when it comes to the density, the smell, the versatility even, and also just the way that it makes me feel when I wear it, I would always go for the Parfum version. But, I realized I had never actually reviewed the Eau de Parfum on this channel. So better late than never, I suppose. And so thank you so much for taking the time to watch this review. That was my review, comprehensive or not, on Bleu de Chanel's Eau de Parfum. Now, this is the mid-tier concentration of the 3. I would love to know, which of the 3 do you personally prefer? Do you prefer the Eau de Toilette, which is more diffusive in my opinion? I get a lot more citrus from that one. Do you prefer the Parfum version, which is a bit more incensey, more woodsy, perhaps even a bit ambery? Or do you like the Eau de Parfum? I know everybody kind of has their own preferences, so I'm curious to hear from you. And of course, if you took anything of value from today's episode, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It goes such a long way. So thanks again so much for tuning in. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.